To truly ascend, you must first be willing to die, socially. Kill your addiction to applause. Stop the broadcast. Step into the terrifying silence of the dark room. Because the only way to shock the world is to leave it first. We are witnessing the slow, suffocating death of human potential, strangled by the hands of applause. Look around you. We are living in an asylum of our own making. A chaotic era where men and women are addicted to the broadcast before they have even laid the first brick of the building. You are drowning in a deluge of noise, shouting into a digital void, desperate for the validation of strangers who will scroll past your life's work in a fraction of a second without a backward glance. You are performing for an audience that does not care if you rise or fall. Welcome to Glacier Wisdom. If you are tired of the noise and ready to reclaim your mind, I ask you to subscribe to this channel right now. Your support ensures we can keep bringing you the truths that the rest of the world is too afraid to speak. You feel it, don't you? That heavy, inexplicable exhaustion deep in your marrow. It is not because you are physically tired. It is because you are spiritually leaking. You are bleeding out your vital energy, trying to maintain a facade of success instead of pouring that concrete into your foundation. We have been conditioned to treat silence as if it were a disease, and obscurity as if it were a failure. But I am here to tell you that your desperate addiction to being seen is the very thing ensuring you remain invisible. You are terrified of missing out, but by trying to be everywhere, you are ending up nowhere. To find yourself, you must first be willing to lose the world. You must detach from the matrix of opinions. Sometimes the only way to shock the world is to leave it completely. Before we descend further into the dark room, I want you to be honest with yourself and with me. Which of these two chains is holding you back the most? Option A, the fear of being alone with your own thoughts. Option B, the addiction to the cheap dopamine of social validation. Leave your answer, A or B, in the comments below. Having acknowledged the chains that bind you, you must now possess the fortitude to step into the only place where they can be shattered. I am speaking now directly to the athlete who is sick of the metallic taste of second place, to the academic whose sharp intellect is being blunted by the triviality of modern discourse, and to the entrepreneur sitting on a dormant empire because they cannot find the quietude required to lay the first stone. I am talking to the pioneer who refuses to stagnate, the one who does not fear sliding into temporary obscurity because you understand, deep in your spirit, that the dark room is not a grave, but a womb for your future greatness. You must radically redefine your relationship with isolation. Do not misunderstand the nature of this descent. The dark room is not a dungeon of depression. It is a chamber of high-stakes development. Consider the photographers of the old world. They understood the chemistry of creation. They knew that a negative could only be transformed into a clear, permanent image if it was processed in absolute, unyielding darkness. If you expose the film to the light too early, the image is ruined, washed out, and lost forever. That is precisely the tragedy of your current existence. By exposing your undeveloped dreams to the harsh, unforgiving light of public scrutiny before they are ready, you are destroying them. You are seeking applause for a blueprint when you should be pouring the concrete. This transition requires a ruthless, almost surgical subtraction of the unnecessary. It demands that you delete the app that serves as your digital pacifier. It requires you to walk away from the table where gossip and mediocrity are served as the main course. You must fall back into the shadows and sever the cords of dependency that tether you to a lower version of yourself. Everyone wants the destiny, the manifestation, and the high-caliber lifestyle, but almost no one has the stomach to eliminate the distractions that prevent them. No one wants to disappear for 3 months, 6 months, or a year to calibrate their internal compass. I will not offer you a comforting lie. This descent is terrifying. We are a species that craves noise, because silence forces us to hear the very things we have spent a lifetime running from. When the notifications cease, when the phone goes cold and the world forgets your name, you are left with the only entity that can actually save you, yourself. In that silence, there is nowhere to hide. You are forced to look in the mirror and confront the uncomfortable truth that the current version of you is simply not strong enough to carry the weight of the destiny you desire. You must enter the dark room to kill your old self so that the new one may be born. Once the door to that dark room is bolted shut and the old self has been laid to rest, the real terror begins not with a sudden bang, but with the crushing, suffocating weight of absolute monotony. A man is rewarded in the public square only for what he has painstakingly forged in private. This is the immutable law of the universe that no amount of charisma or marketing can cheat. You can fabricate an image for a season, you can lease the luxury car and wear the tailored suit to fool the onlookers, but eventually, life will demand to see your receipts. And if you have not paid the full price in the dark, you will be left spiritually and financially bankrupt in the light. The reason you have not yet manifested your vision, the reason you are paralyzed by frustration, is that you have not been willing to forsake the comforts that mediocrity provides. You are in love with the idea of the destination, but you despise the journey. You can attend every conference, scribble notes in your leather-bound journal, and read the biographies of the great titans of industry until your eyes bleed. But at some critical juncture, the reading must stop and the bleeding must begin. You have to disappear into the grind. And let me be clear, the grind is not a cinematic montage set to inspiring music. It is ugly. It is boring. It is repetitive. It is lonely. It is waking up at 4 in the morning in the biting cold, when every fiber of your being is screaming at you to stay in the warmth of your bed, and choosing to rise anyway because your mission demands it. I am talking about a level of sacrifice that will make you a stranger to your own family. I am speaking to that man, that woman, that boy, or that girl who feels a fire in their belly so intense it threatens to consume them. To shock the world, you must first shock your own system into submission. This may mean you have to sleep in your car because you cannot afford rent while you build your enterprise. It may mean you go without food, bouncing from couch to couch, wearing the same shoes until the soles are worn thin, sacrificing your comfort like nobody in your lineage ever has. Can you endure that humiliation behind the scenes? Can you labor in the shadows when there is no camera crew to document your struggle, when there is no one to clap for your resilience, and when nobody understands the measure of passion that you carry? It is time to get real, and it is time to get raw. You must look yourself in the mirror, stare into your own tired eyes, and come to the terrifying resolve that the current version of yourself is not equipped to survive the stretch ahead. You must admit that if you do not change, if you do not do something drastic, you will collapse under the weight of your own potential. The most monumental portraits of human achievement were developed in this crucible of isolation. We celebrate the athletes, the critical thinkers, the innovators, and the actors. We call them heroes and follow them by the millions, obsessed with their public glory. But you do not know the story behind that glory. You did not see the blood. You did not taste the sweat. You did not witness the tears they cried in empty rooms or hear the desperate prayers they prayed when hope was a distant memory. They embraced the boredom. They understood that to become a master, one must first be a slave to discipline. They accepted that the only way out is through the fire. Once the door to that dark room is bolted shut and the old self has been laid to rest, the real terror does not arrive with drama or fireworks. It arrives quietly, disguised as monotony. This is where most people fail. Not because the work is impossible, but because it is unglamorous. A person is rewarded in the public square only for what they have endured in private. This is a law as ancient as gravity, and it cannot be negotiated with charm, aesthetics, or hollow confidence. You can rent the image for a season, lease the car, curate the lifestyle, rehearse the language of success, but eventually, life audits everyone. When it asks for your receipts, excuses are not accepted. If the price was not paid in the dark, bankruptcy is inevitable in the light, spiritually first, financially soon after. You have not manifested your vision because you are still clinging to the comforts that mediocrity offers. You love the destination but resent the road. You attend the seminars, underline the books, quote the greats, and convince yourself that preparation is progress. But there is a moment, always, when consumption must end and execution must begin. At some point, the reading stops and the bleeding starts. You must vanish into the work. And understand this clearly, the grind is not inspirational. It is not cinematic. It is not accompanied by music or applause. It is repetitive to the point of madness. It is lonely beyond words. It is choosing to wake up before dawn in the cold when every instinct begs you to stay comfortable, and standing up anyway because your mission does not care about your feelings. This path will demand sacrifices that make you unrecognizable to those closest to you. It may estrange you. It may isolate you. It may require you to live beneath your pride, sleeping where you can, eating what you can afford, wearing the same clothes until they give out. This is not romantic suffering. This is humiliation without witnesses. The question is not whether this is fair. The question is whether you are willing. Can you work when no one is watching? Can you endure obscurity without reassurance? Can you keep building when there is no proof yet that it will work? Now comes the moment of brutal honesty. You must stand still long enough to admit a truth most people spend their lives running from. The current version of you cannot carry what you say you want. If nothing changes, collapse is inevitable. Not because you lack potential, but because you lack the discipline to evolve. Every great human achievement was forged in this exact crucible. We celebrate the finished product and ignore the process. We applaud the victory and forget the years of boredom, doubt, and silent suffering that preceded it. But mastery has always demanded servitude. Servitude to routine, to standards, to a code that does not bend when motivation disappears. This is the fire. There is no shortcut around it. The only way out is through. And if you are still here, still listening, then understand this. The boredom you are avoiding is the very gateway to the life you want. Embrace it. Submit to the discipline. Let the days blur. Let the work harden you. One day, without warning, the world will notice what you built in silence, and it will look like overnight success. But you will know the truth. When you finally choose to wield this silence as a weapon, you cease to be a beggar for attention and become the architect of a reality that the world cannot ignore. I am wondering if there is anyone left listening who has truly come to the end of themselves. Anyone willing to walk away from the dysfunction and the disorder that has pulled them from their destiny. If you can see the vision clearly in your mind, you possess the capacity to hold it in your hand. But the bridge between those 2 points is constructed entirely in the dark. Stop broadcasting your next move to people who do not believe in you. Just disappear and do the work. Do not become frustrated by the solitude. Remain faithful behind the scenes, for promotion is approaching. The stages and opportunities you desire are being prepared right now, at this very second, in direct proportion to the sacrifice you are making in secret. When you finally emerge from the dark room, you will not need to announce your return, for your absence will have created a void that only your new excellence can fill. You will stand before your doubters not to argue, but to exist as living proof of what is possible when a human being refuses to compromise. You build in the dark, and you reveal it only when it is finished. Now go, disappear today, so that your legacy can live forever tomorrow. Here is a refined, tightened conclusion that preserves your philosophy, sharpens the cadence, and lands with finality, without softening the edge. To conclude this journey, we must recognize that the philosophy of the dark room is not merely a productivity tactic. It is an act of rebellion against the modern condition. We have confronted how the endless noise of the world quietly drains your creative and spiritual reserves. We have admitted the uncomfortable truth that our addiction to validation is the very chain keeping us from the greatness we claim to want. Understand this clearly. Nothing majestic is ever built in the sunlight. The roots of the great oak must push through cold, uncelebrated soil long before the branches touch the sky. A child must grow in the darkness of the womb before it can breathe the air. Your destiny is no different. It requires gestation. It demands privacy. It needs a season where mistakes are made without witnesses, and strength is forged without applause. Silence is not empty. It is full of answers. When you strip away the noise, the apps, the opinions, the performance, you are not disconnecting from the world. You are reconnecting to your purpose. Announcing your plans too early is dangerous because premature praise creates a false finish line. You feel rewarded before you've earned it. The hunger fades. The fire cools. The dark room exists to protect that hunger, to preserve the drive, to ensure that when you finally speak, your results speak first. How to apply this starting today. 1. The silent vow. Choose one meaningful goal, a business, a physical transformation, a creative pursuit, and tell absolutely no one about it for the next 90 days. Deny yourself the pleasure of talking about it, so you are forced to find fulfillment in doing it. 2. The digital fast. Audit your phone with ruthless honesty. Identify the 2 apps that consume the most time while offering the least return on your future. Delete them or exile them from your home screen. Reclaim your mental territory. 3. The sacred hour. Commit to 1 uninterrupted hour of deep work every single day. Phone off, door closed, no audience. This is your daily return to the dark room, the place where your future self is being built. A final question. To seal this contract with yourself, answer this honestly. What is the one distraction you are willing to sacrifice today to make room for your future? Write it in the comments. Make it real. Your commitment may be the spark that gives someone else permission to disappear and begin. Go now. Enter the dark room. Build in silence. Return undeniable. If this message resonated with you and you want to continue exploring the depths of wisdom and strategy, please consider subscribing to Glacier Wisdom. Your support fuels this channel and allows us to keep bringing you content that matters. Thank you for listening, and remember, build in the dark and let your results shock the world.